Guess what? Here we
Hey!
are. Welcome, everybody. This is the check-in show attached to They Talk Funny. This is more like a global check-in, so we can say hi to people and just, yeah, not be so lonely during these lockdown pandemics. We can't get out there and hug everyone times. Uh, I just realized how kind of lazy I am about this because I didn't even create a new theme entry or opening for this show, whereas we get the like little theme song from the They Talk Funny regular show. By the way, it happens tonight, 8 p.m. I'm going to be talking to the very funny Leonard Chan. So, veteran of the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, writer for This Hour's 22 Minutes, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing? How's everybody doing? This
I'm
this
doing
is this
okay.
is our ASMR type show. We get
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like
no,
talk
this
quietly at
is
each other.
this is
Is
okay.
everybody fine? You good?
Everybody,
I,
everybody,
I
everybody's
think
okay.
everybody's trying to be very mellowed.
You know what? Because so again, I was talking with Sid, and every time Sid says some stuff about these things, he goes after St. Patrick's Day, like everything's gonna go to orange. So Sid has been right about all these lockdowns and stuff. So I'm like, hopefully, everything's gonna be
Does
okay.
Sid have a magic 8 ball
You
or
know what?
some
You know what
sort
I
of
think.
tarot thing?
I
What
think
what
I
would
think
he
he knows.
do?
I think he knows someone in
Yeah,
politics because he's
you
because
think?
the politicians telling him all like, for example, we before the second lockdown, which was supposed to happen for 28 days, before
Yeah.
a week before, he's like, oh guys, we're gonna be shut down for 28 days or more, and then we're all in denial, like, Sid, what do you know? And then guess what? We got shut down.
Yeah,
I was
well.
telling you the same thing there, Claudio.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. I'm just saying, but not like I hope because the weather is getting better. You know, so
Ah,
in,
don't yeah, don't bet on the weather so much already
you know what?
because
You
it's
know what,
it's
Mike?
March. It's March. March always has surprises. I mean, I remember a particular end of March storm that dumped like 20, 30 centimeters of snow. So
Oh,
do
yeah,
not,
that's right.
yeah. March is the snowiest month historically in Montreal.
I think it was. I think it was like 2 years ago. Was it on my birthday? It was on my very birthday that
Yeah,
like,
I seem to
everything was
remember one
fine,
too.
and
And then
everything.
bam.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, this is.
Yeah.
What a way to turn 29.
And don't forget the cold blob. I just
The
wanted to
cold
find the,
blob.
the right name for it. Yeah,
The Arctic vortex.
The
yeah.
Arctic
The
Basically,
polar polar vortex. Yes.
this is right out of the day after tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
so, for those of you not aware, what's happening is because the Greenland ice sheet is melting at such an unprecedented rate. There's a lot of fresh water that's being pumped into the North Atlantic,
Yeah.
and it's the volume of it is interfering with the Gulf Stream, which is
Yeah.
originates and say, well, it's circular, but we'll take the originating point as the Gulf of Mexico that it's named after. It comes up and it basically bounces off of Nova Scotia. If you ever look at a map of Canada
Mhm,
and like
mhm.
Nova Scotia's like that, so it bounces off,
Yeah.
and
Why
that
that's
goes
why
over.
Nova Scotia is more temperate and Newfoundland gets frozen.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Newfoundland's a lot further north, but the
Yeah.
thing is, London is further north than Montreal,
Yes,
so
it
that is
is.
still warm water when it hits like the UK. I mean, it splits a little bit, and a lot of the cold stuff from the Atlantic, the North Atlantic stream, comes over, and that'll interfere with say Northern Ireland and
Iceland and
Scotland. Yeah,
yeah.
the north. What do they call that? North Atlantic Sea, I think they call
Mhm.
it, is where they do a lot of oil drilling. Oil drilling.
Oh no,
The off
that's between England and Scandinavia. That's the North Sea.
the North Sea. That's it.
That's where all the oil drilling is. Yeah.
Okay, that's where that cold water kind of gets pushed up to. Now they're saying that because it's the fresh water off the Greenland sheet and it doesn't mix as well with the salt water, it's actually sort of stalling the Gulf Stream from getting over to the UK,
Hmm.
and that's also because of that and the fact that that water goes on down, hits like Africa, and then circles across to the top of South America and into the Gulf of Mexico. Like that's the path that it normally takes. it's beginning to stutter, and that's the reason why Texas had that big freeze just last month. So yeah, science.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would.
Yes, climate change, not global
Everybody-
warming. Climate change.
Climate
Yeah,
change.
you know,
Call it what it is.
I just,
Yeah.
I was, I was surprised and shocked because obviously Texas is not built like Montreal.
You
know?
think? You
But
think?
then you had Senator Ted Cruz, who, oh my God, he whatever. Like I don't know if you want to get into this.
Cancun
But,
cruise.
yeah, I don't know if you want to get into this,
Cancun
but
cruise. Yeah, Cancun cruise.
like I don't know. I no word. I have no words for that. I don't know if we're gonna swear here, but you know what I'm
Who
trying to say.
blamed his daughters.
Yeah.
I had to go to Mexico. I had
Yeah,
Oh,
to.
yeah,
it was all my kids' fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of have to go to Mexico, but sir, it's flooding. Well, goodbye.
And he left his dog home too. Like it's like, the dog didn't eat his homework. His kids ate his homework, and then the dog. It's just, oh my God. Can this guy get any more irresponsible?
I have sorry.
I bet he's actually probably going to be paying off his daughters. They're going to get an increase in their allowance. Just no, take this one for the team, because that's what he's been doing. He's been taking money from Trump's people to reverse because of all the horrible things that he said about Trump before the election, then after. And I mean, Trump called his wife ugly. I know. And then he's saying, "Oh, everything Trump says is the truth." Yeah. Okay.
So you're actually saying the wife is ugly?
Yeah.
And Trump referred to him as lying Ted. So it's like, yeah, okay. This guy's calling you a liar to your face, and you're going, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, I agree. Oh, yes, you're absolutely right."
Oh, is that a little bit of your shoe polish I have on my tongue?
Yes, exactly.
Or is
lovely
it
shade of brown
color?
Honestly, I don't know, because over the pandemic, I've been doing these open mics, and most of them obviously were from North America, so the 3-4 comedians from Texas, and I did an open mic last month, and they were saying is like they've never one of the comedians from Texas was living in an apartment building, though the ceilings were literally crashing
from
down.
the pipes freezing.
Yeah. And then he's like, he was sleeping, and then he just puts his feet down and goes, "Wait, why is everything?" And he looks outside. I'm like, "Oh God." So it was sad.
Well, one of the I really feel it was sort of irresponsible that they mentioned this. Somebody pointed out because of it's for pay, like their what is it called? Their power infrastructure is all been farmed out for profit for these companies, so they're not upgrading to protect anything. It's they had something
profit,
similar
profit. Yep.
10 years ago, and they were told you have to upgrade, and they didn't. But somebody
they had ample warning that this would happen again, because it happened about 10 or 12 years ago, and they were told you have to do something because this is not a one-off. This is going to occur again in the future. You have to be prepared. We don't need to do that. We don't need to spend the money on that. No. Let's just
we got to give the shareholders a bonus. But
exactly.
The thing is, somebody pointed out that there's 9 power stations in the U.S. If somebody was to hit them, the entire country would be blacked out. Just these, and they went and they pointed out where these 9 power stations were, and I'm going, are you
lovely.
making a terrorist roadmap?
Drop bomb here.
Just you don't even need to drop bombs.
You just have to hack into the computer systems and shut it all down.
So Lisa Gamache is in to say,
"Hey,
hello.
Hi sis."
I'm glad this. You know what? We are sort of like the family reunion show of the Gamache family, but it's. I don't know if we should rebrand or anything. If anything, Mike, I think this is proof that you should be having your own podcast.
Well, there you go. Okay, maybe I'll have to dig down deep and come up with something.
You don't have to, StreamYard. StreamYard, you can do it for free. There's a free version of StreamYard that you can use. You can't put your own fancy branding like I've got up on mine, but it's still there. You'd end up seeing that little duck in the corner instead of one of those.
He's cute. I
Yeah.
have no problem with the duck.
Hmm. So, or that would be,
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so we also we gave ourselves some homework. We ended up choosing to watch Life of Brian. I know that we said we
Yeah.
put it to an audience vote, but
Mhm.
we didn't because
Yeah.
apparently we are an American democracy. Well,
Did you put an executive order on that? Because that's how things get done down there.
I thought you did.
I
Well,
may have. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I may have. As the senior member.
as a senior member, Mike Gamache said we'd be watching The Life of Brian.
Yeah.
Which you know what? It's always been a Christmas movie to me, but rewatching it, I realized it's an Easter movie.
It's pretty much it spans the seasons. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it goes to the crucifixion. It's
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
It's
that's
Christmas to
Easter.
Easter. Yeah, Christmas to Easter, which is like a good 6 months.
And since it's Lent, I
Yes.
mean, they do cover the birth, but it does
Yes.
most of the story focuses on well, they don't cover the birth.
No,
But they do the immediate aftermath of the
yes.
birth.
yes.
I love, speaking of Life of Brian, I love that scene with John Cleese where he's a Roman soldier, and they have to bring
Centurion,
and they had to bring in the prisoner, and then but the Roman general kept talking in a weird language, and then everyone around him burst out laughing.
Oh, it wasn't the weird language. It was
It was
he had
he spit.
a speech impediment.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. That's I just love, for me. I mean, that scene when everyone was laughing. I'm like, oh god
Sorry,
damn
just
it.
for Claudio, Italian is a speech impediment.
Exactly. Exactly. No,
It's
it was
actually Latin, but still.
but and then I just love like how John Cleese's character tried to be professional, but everyone around him was laughing, and whoever was laughing, they were sent away. It was
Cleese is a master at keeping a straight face.
yes. Yeah,
There's one or two times I've seen him in stuff where he gets caught up in it and he breaks character and he breaks out laughing. But by and large, Cleese, I mean, they can be doing the absolute craziest shit and he'll just sit there stone faced like
remember Faulty Towers?
Faulty Towers is the same thing. Yeah,
that was great.
Did you ever see his series of How to Annoy People?
I saw when I was younger, but I vaguely remember.
Google some of that. He had a series about it was like sort of it was supposed to be a business oriented things of how not to behave in business, how to navigate the business milieu with proper etiquette and all that stuff. But it was all done tongue in cheek, very tongue in cheek. He's insane. He's insane.
I love, and you know what? Speaking about John Cleese, I loved it when they were when a bunch of politics were in the room and they were saying, "So, thanks for discussing about nothing." Oh, well, nothing was really we've done nothing, and they're happy. I believe it was that the scene about like they were just talking about how they did nothing back and forth for like a good 5 minutes.
Oh, well, they were discussing about what the action should be. Well,
Yes.
action is useless, so
Exactly.
course we must do.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
But was because I saw Life of Brian when when I was young, but was that in Life of Brian or is that something separate? Because
No, it's part of the, like, remember, you got to remember at one point they
The People's Front of
introduced
Judea.
the people's front of Judea, which is supposed to be like the PLO or something like that, or these liberation fronts, these actions against the oppressor and all that stuff. And it's the scene you're mentioning is all about how the mechanics of any type of political movement,
Any kind of group,
yes,
actually.
yeah, any kind of group gets bogged down in the actual, day-to-day give and take, back and forth negotiating, and it's absolutely priceless because almost everything in this movie, in Life of Brian, is a takeoff or comment or critique of things that happen every day, not just in the scenario of Life of Brian, but in everyday life. Because they talk about LGBT, cute issues. They talk about sexism. They talk about like speech impediments. I mean, they mention the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus is talking, and he says, I can't, shut up, speak louder, and I can't hear you, and they, yeah, big nose, and also, blessed are the cheesemakers. When Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers, he says, I think he said, blessed are the cheesemakers, and this guy who's he's a high-ranking, he's rich guy. And he says, "Why are they talking?" The wife says, "What's so special about the cheesemakers?" And he says, "Well, I don't think they were just focusing on the cheesemakers. They were talking about any purveyor of dairy products." No, he was generalizing, not just the cheesemakers, but all of the dairy industry. And it's like, and then also at one point it says, they said, "Oh, blessed are the meek." Blessed are the meek. They're talking about the meek. Oh, that's nice because they don't get much. And he says, "Did anybody get this meek fellow's name?" He wants to get on the accent.
That was first misheard as "Blessed are the Greek."
The Greek,
the Greek, and they wanted the Greek guy's name.
But for me, like,
meek. That makes more sense.
But for me, I prefer the Holy Grail. Like, Life of Brian is good. Like everything you brought up was really good. For me, Life of Brian was just comedy. Yeah. It was in a way for me, it was idiotic comedy. That's Life of Brian is just like everyday comedy, but like Holy Grail, I was like, all right, this is
Holy Grail was their first film. Holy Grail was their first film, and there were a lot of mistakes made.
Their first feature themed film. Because they had compilation films that were packaged, like I remember, and now for something completely different, which was all bunch of bits from the television series packaged together, and it was on a theater run.
That was a repurposing of it.
Yes,
but the thing is, with this one, they lost funding. Just as they started filming, and I think it was George Harrison.
George Harrison came to the rescue.
Stepped up to fund them. Also, the week they started, they were, where were they? Were they in?
They were in Tunisia. Yeah,
they were in Tunisia, same place. Star Wars was filmed. And Graham Chapman, who plays Brian Cohen, got dysentery. Like he ended up, and so he was so sick through most of the filming.
He was sick. He was sick through the Holy Grail too, because during the Holy Grail, they were wearing these knight's outfit that looked like chainmail, but they weren't actually chainmail. They were wool jumpers, and it rained so much they got soaking wet. They all got sick from being like, they practically got pneumonia filming this thing, because they were just constantly wet and cold, and at the time Graham was also in the throes of alcoholism before he cleaned himself up in Life of Brian. And when they did Life, not Life of Brian, he was an alcoholic when they did Holy Grail. In Life of Brian, he had cleaned himself up, but he got dysentery and he was absolutely sick as a dog. And these movies were made, and they were made despite a lot of odds. I mean, the only reason George Harrison stepped up to the plate and financed them is because George Harrison had been sent a script of the movie, and he said, "I want to see this movie." That was it. I don't care how much money I sink into this thing. Says, I don't care if it makes a profit. I want to see this bloody movie, and that's what happened. Because they got into all sorts of trouble with this, because this was supposed to be, this was purported to be a big send off on religion, when in fact a lot of the stuff they were talking about religion was not bashing religion. They were just sort of like saying, examine yourself, explaining it and examining the mechanics or the if you will, the mythology of religion in general, and question it. Don't just like when he says you have to think for yourselves, you have to figure it out for yourselves. And everybody goes, yes, tell us how to do that.
Yeah, we're all individuals.
Yes, I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
Sharon Armando was saying repurposing the TV jokes, i.e., the previous movies before the Holy Grail, allows for immediate resonance in a geolocationally divided audience, which is what people are doing now. Especially, I mean, I haven't been doing it as well as I should, but all these streams that people do, you can repurpose them for audio. You can put snippets up in Instagram or whatever to help grow your audience. That's one of the things that you can do, because not everybody, like we got it, I think it was on CBC late night, and then there was also, when we finally got cable, we were able to watch Monty Python on PBS.
Yes, PBS.
I was in high
several
school
years.
before we got that.
Yeah.
Several decades, I think. I mean, isn't it still on PBS? I don't know.
I'm
if
not
Fox
sure.
has overtaken it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But
yeah,
PBS used to run it like I think it was Friday nights or Saturday nights. They used to run 2 or 3 episodes back to back because the episodes were short. The episodes were for BBC, so they were like 20 minutes long, 25 minutes long, and so they would because BBC didn't have commercials, right? So they would run it 25 minutes, and when they played it on something other than BBC, like when they played it on CBC, CBC would throw in a few ads here and there, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's why this hour's 22 minutes is 20. They say 22 minutes because the standard Canadian TV program actually I think is 24 minutes.
Yeah.
In the US, it's 22 minutes. That's why when Kids in the Hall, also influenced by Monty Python, when they had their show, the later seasons, they were shooting an American version and a Canadian version. The Canadian version would just have one extra sketch that had more Canadian content. SCTV did the same thing. When they created the Bob and Doug McKenzie, the McKenzie brothers characters, which only aired on the Canadian one, but then it got moved to Showtime, which showed the full episode.
And then Bob and Doug took off.
Just became huge in the States.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's talk about the some of the political stuff that they were doing in that. There's a lot of stuff that people would question doing, but even in the fact like John Cleese does blackface as one of the 3 wise men.
Yes.
But then his face is almost entirely covered, so you only really are seeing around his eyes.
Right.
There's also the when Judith has her nude scene, full frontal nude scene. I think it was since there's a time for an adult film allowed one female full frontal, but they had that in the film right after Chapman's full frontal nudity scene.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So it came immediately after, but the idea was that why is the woman's body taboo more so than the man's?
Right.
And also the take when Judith was saying no, it's time to do action, and she was trying to get the entire group to go do it, and they decided to start discussing.
Right.
The logistics
let's form a committee.
An immediate action.
A subcommittee.
Yeah. And she storms out to go act.
Yes.
They do a little throwaway line about feminists, and then they have to apologize to Loretta, who was the male member who identifies as being female.
Yeah.
Wants to be a woman.
The one thing that flies under the radar for a lot of people with that whole Stan Loretta thing is that when Stan first announces that he wants to become a woman, and he says, I want you to call me Loretta, Judith starts calling Stan Loretta immediately, and all the other guys still refer to him as Stan. That sort of just flies like okay, fine, you want to be Stan, and John Cleese's character goes into a whole thing about, well, you can't, where are you going to keep the fetus if you wanted to have a child? Were you going to keep it in a shoebox?
Yeah, I remember. But you know what?
So it's
you see that I remember that scene very well. But I'm like that scene to me was what the heck. But for I was watching John Cleese, and I'm like, okay, you know what, John Cleese, like whatever John Cleese says, it's hilariously amazing. This is delivery on that. But what threw me off a little bit is I see now this is a problem where I have with all these what seems like it's like they're trying to have sentimental moments. Like if it was any other person but John Cleese and they tried to, let's say, make the mood lighter, I would have been like, nah, you're just ruining the scene. Like 'cause they're trying to have sentimental moments with topics like that, you know. And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, one, I thought it was very progressive and sort of showed like, because at the end, Loretta is accepted as Loretta. There was no calling Loretta a Stan anymore, so there was no dead naming. It was also that the fact that Judith was probably the most capable member of the committee.
Yes.
Just, you know, and then having the other characters sort of mock her with their own inaction. It was very much a feminist statement in the film. And this film, when did that come out? That came out, this is 1979.
Yeah.
So I mean, these are things. I mean, yesterday was International Women's Day. And these are issues that have been going on for a very long time. So,
yes, and still haven't really been even close to properly addressed.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
these things are still pervasively present.
Exactly.
It kind of bugs me because comedy is my thing, of seeing people rail against feminism, rail against, you know, women's equality, and think they're being edgy when they're actually,
that's not edgy. That's just dumb.
Yeah, well, that's just it. And they think they're being clever by the fact that they can, you know, do this snidely or whatever.
Misogyny, homophobia, just plain bullying. That's not edgy. That's just
I know
you're an asshole.
Yeah,
you're an asshole.
That's right. Yeah, that's right for me. Like not since we're talking about comic, for me, like you both know this, but for people who are not who don't know who I really am, like for me, comedy, that's like I like to do self-deprecation because before I've been doing comedy, like I've been listening to seeing a lot of these comedians who call themselves, you know, edgy and bullies, and and they're like, yeah, but you know, everything's a joke. I'm like, yeah, listen, yes, but there's a point, like there's a limit to this, and I'm like, listen, I believe in like you could say whatever you want, but you gotta be ready to face the music. If you ever have people saying, "What the heck is this?"
It also has to be funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of it is missing the funny.
But to be honest with you, like that's not really I've been hearing all these jokes right at the at the open mics and whatever, and there's some comedians who tried to do all this we're talking about, but I'm like, what? Okay, so what's the funny in this? Like, okay,
see, for me, in my view, edgy comedy is something that flirts with inappropriateness, doesn't quite go to inappropriateness, and calls out the inappropriateness for what it is, which is this is not right. This is not what you should be doing. You should be better than this. See, that's why for me, like, again, as you both know this, right? Like, that's why I love self-deprecation humor, because you're making fun of yourself, right? And you're making fun of yourself in a scenario that you're involved in. So that's for me. It's like, again, I'd rather, for example, am I allowed to like name some comedians that I like here, Paul and Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. Like for example, when we went to go see Rocky Laporte, like I just see, and I love him because he's.
You hadn't heard of him until I pointed him out to you. That's
exactly. Like Paul, like when you're like, oh, we should go watch Rocky Laporte. Like Mike, were you there as well? I believe.
I'm not sure if I saw Rocky with you guys.
Oh, but when I saw him, my jaw just like this. Yeah. This man is amazing. Wow. But obviously we went to the late show at the Nest, so not everybody was on board laughing. But I'm like, okay, there's that night. Yeah, but this thing, even like when he was not delivering the jokes, just hearing him talk, I'm like, this man's brilliant. Do I love him? Like, see, like comedians like Rocky Laporte, he's one of my idols of self-deprecating humor. It's just fantastic. Then you hear all these other edgy ones, like, all right, look, if it's your thing, I'm not gonna be here saying, you know what, I'm not gonna tell you like what you should do. Everybody should know what they should be doing on stand up, right? Like, I mean, everyone has their own sense of humor, right? But I'm
open
like,
mics are for people to find out, kind
yeah,
of. That's one of
exactly.
the things.
Yeah, exactly. But then, we go to open mic and people are saying, I know I'm trying to be edgy. This, I'm like, look, you do you, and
First off, trying to be is how you fail.
yeah.
There is no try. There is only do.
Yes.
Yoda is a great comedy master, but
Frank Oz.
there, there is the thing is too. I find a lot of the people who are writing the edgy stuff are writing what they see other comics doing. Not, I don't mean stealing material, but they're going, oh, if he bashes women, people give him applause, so I'm going to bash women too, right? They're writing what they think the audience wants rather than what's funny to them.
Yeah.
And that's their failure.
Mhm.
But self-deprecation is something which I've done in comedy too, but you need to balance it, or try to eliminate it, because did you watch Nanette?
Yes.
I heard of it. It's on my list. I'm gonna watch it.
Okay,
Do by all means watch that, because
it's very much educational. If I could say this right now, like, I'm probably going to anger some people. I know it's like listed in Netflix as comedy specials. It's more of a one person show.
Okay.
Right. Because there is definitely stand up elements to it, but it's also autobiographical and also giving the history behind some of Heather Gadsby's jokes. And I think it's incredibly powerful. I do recommend, if anyone has seen it, please drop a comment in there what you think about it. Give a like. One of the things, and spoilers, I don't think this is really a spoiler. It's just one of the things that she mentions in her special is that she's been doing self-deprecating jokes for so long that they sort of have overwritten the narrative, and any pride that she had over certain things, or any good feelings she might have, are being replaced and rewritten by the fact that she's putting herself down in these jokes. And by constantly reinforcing the negative, it becomes the new reality within her.
Oh yeah, no. I absolutely agree with you. But like, again, like going back to what I'm writing, like, you've both been seeing my jokes, but I haven't gone down and been like, man, like, I'm trying to find proper words to say about myself. So I'm like, basically, like I love self-deprecation, but I'm not gonna go to a point where I'm gonna say to myself, hey, you know what, I'm so pathetic. Like, I'm not down there. So
Heather Gadsby didn't do that either. But
okay.
I mean, like, she's a touring comic, so that means she's doing these jokes 5 nights a week if she's on tour.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. These are all these things that are hitting and coming, over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's what do they say about con men and spies? Like, if they practice the lie so much, it then becomes their nature.
It becomes reality. Yeah.
It's their reality to them.
We had a great example of that in the former president of the United States. He believes his own shit, so. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Sure.
Hannah Gadsby, I think, in her special, the whole idea behind self-deprecation becoming sort of like rote for her is that it became sort of like, oh, it's that self-deprecating comic. Oh, she's going to talk again about how pathetic, how sad, how terrible she is, and she said, it was also, like, oh well, I'm from Australia, I live my life being sort of like oppressed by the fact that I'm gay, and it's like, I think that some people, when they become self-deprecating comics, trap themselves in the persona. They become
I don't get no respect.
Well, exactly. They become a slave to the shtick. It's like, this is what people expect of me. This is what people paying money to come and see me do. Yeah. So I have to do this. Otherwise, people are going to say, "What the hell is wrong?"
Oh yeah.
Where did that person go? The one that was funny and self-deprecating.
Yeah. But yeah. Look, again, like whatever that comedian makes them happy in a way. So I mean, again, everyone has. See, this is why I love stand up, is because because we go through this saying is like not everyone's going to be your cup of tea, and then there are people going to be your cup of tea. So, and again, I should be taking my own advice when I say this, but like, I get sad, like, oh, how come people don't like me, blah blah blah. But now I'm like, now I understand. Now I understand why. But it's fun. That's why. For me, stand up is really it's fun because I have jokes. I believe they're funny. People laugh, and then there's some other people like, oh man, this guy's not dark. He's not edgy. Like, why is he here? But that's what I love about it.
The other thing too is
Mhm.
it's being able to make the self-deprecating funny, because a
Mhm.
lot of the
Yes.
times it can just be sad.
Yes.
Now you describe Rocky Laporte as a self-deprecating comic. I don't think he is. I mean, to me, he portrays maybe a little bit of a dumb character, but he is hella smart if you
Oh yeah,
listen to
yeah,
it.
yeah. He is.
Like his turn of phrase, his ways of interpreting what other people are saying is just, it shows how intelligent he is.
Oh,
And
absolutely. I call him the Sylvester Stallone of stand up because I find like he almost sounds like
because
he
he took
almost sounds like
roids.
Sylvester. Yeah, something like that. No, but he's just man, he's just awesome. This guy, I don't understand why Netflix doesn't have his specials on. He's just so amazing.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah,
it's
but there's also a fine line and a distinction to be made between somebody who creates a character and that character is self-deprecating, and
Yeah,
then has a persona that is not like that, like Rodney Dangerfield, and somebody who just goes on stage and just cuts themselves down. Like, I'm such a loser. I did the
yeah,
stupidest thing the other day. Look at what this. Look at that. I'm pathetic. Nobody wants to date me. Like, okay, that's all good, and it might all be true. But it's like what Paul said. Is it funny? Is it funny to
exactly.
be a sad sack loser?
Yeah,
It
that's
can be given the correct manipulation, if you will, of the situation,
yeah.
but it doesn't inherently. It's not inherently funny.
Oh yeah, that's why like, I believe you have to have a little bit of everything. So
Hmm.
and I mean that's my belief. Like it's important to talk about everything that you think is funny. From like self-deprecation to like current events and to uh, everything. Because if you just stick to one, yeah, it's gonna be cool, right? And then you're gonna be like, I believe like some people like gonna be like, all right, so we're gonna go see Claudio because he's just this loud Italian guy who's messing up in his family, or seeing Todd.
Gee, they must have seen you a lot, Claudio.
or seeing Claudio, who has a little bit, who's just like this I call them like everyday comedians, right? Because they don't just focus on one thing. So I mean that's
Well, all right. Claudia's kind of taking it down a different track. That,
yeah,
like, Mike mentioned something that I really wanted to kind of grab onto, and that's why I put that little banner at the bottom.
Yeah,
Is the comedians with these pronounced personas, people who go out there with such exaggerated characters, they can't be that person.
yeah.
Like, can
Emo Phillips, for example.
Emo
Yeah,
Phillips,
yeah,
Rodney Dangerfield
yeah,
to an extent,
yeah.
Judy Tenuta,
Yes,
Bobcat
yes.
Goldthwait.
yeah.
Even what's his name there? You might know you're a redneck.
Yeah, Jeff Foxworthy.
Jeff
Yeah,
Foxworthy. That's an inhabited uh, caricature of a redneck.
I was gonna go with
It's
Yeah,
not so much in his stand up is sort of him observing the rednecks. I don't know
yeah.
if it is, but Larry the Cable Guy
yeah.
Yes,
is a very pronounced persona. If
yeah,
anyone watching can think of some comedians with very pronounced personas that you don't think could be how they function in reality, please, like, put it down there. Now, Emo
yeah,
Phillips, one of the ones you mentioned, was one of the sort of big breaks that he was to get. Was he actually appeared? He had like, he was a guest star on Miami Vice, the TV show, the original series,
yeah,
uh, and he went up as him, as the person behind the mask,
yeah,
and so he was just this guy with a bad haircut,
yeah,
and he just did not have that magnetic appeal that we see
yeah,
from watching him live, which was
yeah.
sort of disappointing. And I mean, I was younger when I was watching it, and I'm not as attuned to like watching the craft.
Yeah,
but
it's like you watch some of the earlier stuff by Bobcat Goldthwait,
oh
and
man,
then you hear him in an interview, and he doesn't sound like that. Like
Exactly.
he did a number of interviews like that, like that
yes,
when he Jay Leno's was being fired from the Tonight Show and he lit the chair on fire.
yeah,
He was full on the character, and
yes,
that sort of ostracized him as people went, he's way too crazy. We
yeah,
can't deal with him, and that's one of the people who stuck by him at that point was Robin Williams, and
yes.
he
Because
directed
Robin
Robin
Williams was like that
Williams.
also. Robin Williams was like that also. Robin Williams could turn it on like, bang, the switch was on. It was full Robin all the time. And then he'd calm down and it would be like, yeah, I can talk about regular stuff and I can have a decent conversation. I'm not always on, you know. So it's like, yeah,
Well,
okay.
especially after he got off the coke.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, yes.
But the thing is, what was it? Life According to Garp. Robin Williams.
Yeah.
The director did not want to work with Robin Williams. Robin Williams was a kind of a bankable star at that time. The network they wanted him for the feature. Robin Williams wanted to do it, and the director says, "I need you to not be Robin Williams."
Yeah.
Right, and so he played it very low key. But the best dramatic roles, like played by Robin Williams,
Yes.
were
Yeah.
directed by Bobcat
Yeah,
Goldthwait.
Dead Poets Society. He was
Yeah.
fantastic in
Well,
that.
not that one. Okay, yeah.
I was,
Uh,
yeah, I was
The 1 hour photo, like
Yeah.
the ones
Yeah.
where he really broke
Yes.
character. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say with Insomnia with Christopher Nolan and Al Pacino, like him, like Williams playing an antagonist was holy crap. It was just because I was young and I understood about Robin Williams, right? So seeing Williams going from comedy transitioning to a serious role, and again, like 1 hour photo, it was just like, oh my God, this is Robin Williams. What the heck? Jesus, it was.
he even looked physically different in the
Yeah.
in 1 hour photo with the fact that his hair was dyed blonde.
Yes,
Mhm.
his hair
Yeah,
was dyed
yeah.
blonde. Yeah. And there was also another one, which it was a very underrated Robin Williams film. Came out, I believe, in 2004 or 2005. The Night
What
Listener.
dreams may come. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one too. But the Night Listener. But the only problem with that film is that they categorized that film horribly. They made it as a thriller, but it was a supernatural. It was a supernatural thriller. But so people were expecting, Robin Williams is gonna solve a crime. No, he didn't really solve the crime. He's just dealing with something, But that was a very good movie. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, I highly recommend it.
I think he was actually very brilliant in Fisher King.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He playing against Jeff Bridges there. It was like these are two fine craft actors playing off each other, and I like Jeff Bridges as an actor, but in that movie he was just like took it to a next level.
Yeah. The level of guilt
Mhm.
that he portrays so well.
Oh
in
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
I will always give props to Robin Williams as a performer and as an actor. His history with stand up is problematic, but he addressed that and apologized sincerely for it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, he just, I don't know how else to put it. Like, I think he realized kind of what he had done after the fact, and he did make restitution to a number of people for appropriating material.
Yeah, but
there's-
genius is always trouble. Genius never is like a straight line of just success and glory and everything. There's always
so
ups and downs.
Because we appear balanced. You're saying we're stupid there.
Yeah, Mike, get out of here. Bye, Mike. Bye.
You,
No,
Mike,
I mean,
are gonna be one of the
honestly.
most ungenius people I know.
Oh my lord. No, it's the fact though that these are human beings. They may have very fantastic talents in certain areas, be it comedy or music or whatever. These are still human beings, and human beings are subject to the whims of emotional life, you know, and you can't divorce yourself from it, and you can't turn it off. Sometimes, sadly, the end result is a tragedy, you know.
To go back to Bobcat Goldthwait,
Yes.
like as a kid, you know, I wasn't that much of a kid, but I got sucked in with the Police Academy movies and
Mm-hmm.
the character. But his stand up holds up.
Yeah.
Like he was political with his stand up. He was smart with his stand up.
Yeah.
And he was on, generally I would say, the right side of everything. And now as a director, like even early on, I think his first film was Shakes the Clown, which was about an alcoholic clown, and that there was like this subsect of society that were clowns. Like Robin Williams makes an appearance in that where they see a bunch of mimes, and Robin Williams is the only mime that says anything. Was just when Shakes the Clown is driving the Cadillac straight towards all these mimes, he just looks up and goes shit. But they it's like this birthday clown makes the mistake of walking into a rodeo clown bar. Like there's all these things, but it's also an incredibly intelligent movie, and Bobcat Goldthwait really puts a lot of his heart into that film. And then he's directed, 1 Hour Photo, but he also has directed documentaries. He did the documentary about Barry Crimmins' life. I think I'm not positive. I was about to say I think he directed When Stand Up Stood Out, but I'm not sure. I'm just gonna take a look at that. But he did a lot of what he did because it paid money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you need to feed your family and such.
Yeah.
Right. There we go. Filmography as a director. Holy crap. 35 film credits as director.
Jesus.
Yeah, so some of these are TV specials. Like he directed Patton Oswalt's TV special Annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's there. Yeah, he directed Mark Maron's one. He directed an episode of Community. So Call Me Lucky was the Barry Crimmins documentary that was in 2015. Yeah, but he's been Sleeping Dogs Lie. That was Bobcat Goldthwait. Right? He's done so much stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
He's somebody that sort of got trapped by that persona.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people saw the persona and then didn't see the intelligence. And it was there. If you go back and rewatch it, he's very punk rock, and he was sort of on the outside of the Boston scene, where everyone sort of lumped him too, because he was sort of one of Barry Crimmins' guys. Barry Crimmins was wearing was it a Mets coat or a Yankees coat? He was like a proud New York fan in Boston. But he was very inclusive and brought everyone in. There was, 1 or 2 young guys who sort of followed his style, while there was a lot of people who kind of were, following Lenny Clark. And so When Stand Up Stood Out is a good documentary to watch about the Boston comedy scene. And the fact that it like the Montreal scene, it's sort of isolated from the other scenes around. And it has
its own flavor.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like every city has its own flavor, but it definitely did, because it was fostering its own community. And when Stand Up Stood Out, I think that one of the things they talk about is the first Boston comic to be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And do you guys have a guess of who that could be?
The first Boston comic?
Yeah. I'll give you a hint. Deadpan.
Deadpan. What's his name? Right?
You got it. There you are. but you didn't phrase it in the form. Oh,
I
actually,
didn't phrase it in the form of a
You did phrase it in the form of a question. What is that name? Right, Stephen
Yes,
Wright.
Stephen Wright. Yeah.
Was that right?
Was that right? Right, Stephen Wright.
So
Yeah.
you actually score points on that one, Mike. But yeah, as a performer, like they came down, and they looked at like they did this big showcase, and they took Stephen Wright, and so when
That was actually a very controversial pick they did at that time. They actually thought he wasn't good enough to be on Carson when they did the original sort of casting call, like when they original came down and checked people out. They were not sold on Stephen Wright. And I'm trying to remember who it was. Somebody said, "No, it's got to be him. It's got to be him. He's the guy. Trust me on this. You won't make a mistake. He's going to kill it." And he did. He went on the show and he nailed it.
And a lot of the other Boston guys at the time were very much like in the crowd, big energy, you know, kind of thing, which you can't do with the studio audience. And Stephen Wright was there, and he was like a metronome doing the jokes. He got pulled over to the coach for a little interview that he wasn't quite ready for, so this amazing thing happened for him. But all the other Boston comics were at home, and then they were looking at the seniority list. Okay, well, Lenny's got to be the next Boston guy to go there, because Lenny's the big father of all this, because he was the father of the scene. He was a big, loud, you know, kind of driving force about this, and they were making a pecking order of who was going to go, and I think Bobcat was the second or third Boston comic to get on there. And they were very upset because he was very new. And he was also worked almost exclusively with Barry Crimmins. So I actually, Barry Crimmins, before his death, played at the Comedy Works. Yeah, that was, I think it was him and Kurt Metzger. It was like
wow. That's a double bill.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good show. So
anyway, we seem to have strayed from the Monty Python thing, but
all right. If we're gonna just jump back on that, one of the things about the about Monty Python, let alone The Life of Brian, and also to go back to the fact that they put out those amalgam movies first, like, you know, and now for something completely different. They considered themselves Dadaists.
Yes,
right? Like they believed in comedy and data.
Surrealist.
Terry Gilliam actually does that too. So I mean, if you like, not only about Life of Brian, but if you like, you know, watches for films, even the current films of today, like they are very Dadaist. I'm like, all right, that's like,
the meaning of life, the follow up after The Life of Brian, the meaning of life, that was like, whoa, that was I know when that first came out, people were going, wow, like this is like really, really out there. But if you knew Python, it really wasn't. It wasn't out there. It was just a progression of what they were doing in movies.
Yeah.
One of the other things about Dadaism is the fact that it is nonsense, but it's also about non-repetition, which I think puts the surviving members, or you know, the later career of Monty Python into sort of a hellish landscape, because they ended up redoing all the old sketches, you know, live in front of people, and they repurposed the Holy Grail into Spam-A-Lot. Right, so which was big. Was it Broadway or off Broadway?
It was Broadway.
It was Broadway.
It was Broadway, but like you said, you know, you gotta make money and feed your family. So you know,
it's a filthy lucrator.
But by and large, the nugget of Monty Python, which is, you know, goes back to their Oxford days. These were all educated. Like Graham was a doctor. A couple of them are lawyers. It's like these were educated guys, and the whole idea behind all of that scene, all of that British format of it's extreme satire, and extreme satire is like it's so extreme that it falls into surrealism and Dadaism, because it's pushed the absolute extremely ridiculous limit, but by that, it becomes hilarious because you're looking at it and you're going, how can we not laugh at this? This is a dissection of what goes on a daily basis that everybody takes so seriously, but at its core, it's absolutely laughable. It doesn't, it's like you make fun of something that makes no sense to begin with, but everybody takes so damn seriously.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm gonna anyone that's out there watching, please leave a comment. Talk to us about what you like in comedy, or just say hi because
Yeah,
I mean the main purpose of this show is to check in, to make sure
yeah,
everyone's doing okay.
yeah.
I want to send just a shout out to my cousin Bill, who introduced me to Monty Python all those years ago when I was a tender age of 8 or 9 years old,
Hmm.
and how it was so utterly silly. And I want to thank him definitely for that and for that influence on my life. Um, thanking you guys. We're not done yet. I don't know. I mean, we're about to hit an hour, but we're far from done. We got to talk about what we want to talk about next week, but we also want to talk about please everyone taking care. Please
Yes,
everybody, keep
yes.
safe.
Keep on keeping on.
There's a lot of people who are sort of freaking out because, or they think that they can relax now because the vaccine is almost here.
Oh no, don't do that.
Yeah, which
No, I'm getting
is
honestly. I was gonna mention something about that, but
yeah. Go right ahead.
I was gonna say like since you mentioned that people are they're relaxing that the vaccine is getting here. For me, I'm anxious that the vaccine is here because like for like this is gonna sound odd, but like it's right in front of me, and you're like, okay, okay, I need it. I need like I am super anxious right now. Like I'm like I need to go get it. I just come on. One day I'll get it. Like one day I'll drop the people for 30 years old. They're gonna go get it. So can't wait for that.
Hmm.
And Lise Gamache says, "Good comedy heals all wounds except for
That's
COVID."
true.
So please keep washing your hands, keep wearing
Yes,
your mask.
exactly. Don't laugh instead of putting on a mask,
Yeah,
or
that's
laugh with
Or
the mask.
get
or
a
don't
mask with a
pull
big smiley face.
yeah,
That,
Yes,
or
exactly.
or don't pull a Joe Biden. Like I remember he was doing his presidential run, and he just
Yeah,
stops, lowers his mask, and does the
yeah.
cough and puts his. Oh, that was for me. That was for me out of
oh, all right.
Biden.
Sorry. On the level of stupidity by presidential candidates, that's not that low.
No.
I know, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
it was
It's
just
just
random.
re-mentioning all this kind of stuff is
Mhm.
sort of trying to rewrite the history about who was the stupid one.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly, exactly.
so sorry to I don't mean to be sort of jumping on
Yeah.
your throat for that one.
Joe Biden would not have stared into an eclipse.
That's true.
Was Joe Biden like the best candidate out of everyone who was running? Maybe
Hell
not,
no.
but he was the
No.
best out of the final two.
Oh my
Exactly.
God.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I have to say, even though like he's not given, I have never given him carte blanche, like do whatever you want. But I am very impressed by the absolute seriousness he brings to the situation right now, and by doing, the thing, I mentioned this to my wife the other day. I said, she said, oh, she's like, she's gotten into this, like watching all the stuff about what's going to happen with the other guy, and what's going to happen with Biden and all this and all this, all the machinations of American politics. And she goes, our politics is so boring by comparison. And I said, well, it can be, but you got to remember, when politics is boring, it's because it's efficient, because things are getting done. When things get done, people don't pay attention to that. When things are up in turmoil, everybody's on board. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen next?"
Oh, you see there,
That's
yeah,
not how you run a country.
yeah. See, for me, that's the thing. Like for me, for a politician, whether it could be a
Yeah.
president or prime minister, to me, I don't care if that person is boring when you see him in interviews, as long as he or she does what needs to be done. Like for example, a lot of people were saying, like because I'm looking into this because someone brought up like Eric O'Toole, right? So when people see Eric O'Toole talk, like they're falling asleep. I'm like, question you have to ask yourself: can he do a good job. Like politicians are not supposed to be. Again, this is what I'm thinking. So, for me, like politicians are meant to do what they need to do. Like they're not supposed to be, comedians. They're not supposed to be
Rock stars, no.
exactly. They're there. Like you are there to provide for your province or your country. That's what's meant to do.
At the heart, a politician that gets elected to an office is a public servant. How
Yes.
often do you hear, oh, yeah, I talked to the guy at the license bureau. My God, he was such a, like, the guy's an amazing. No, he's a public servant. He does a job. When he's efficient, he fades into the background. And when you have a good interaction with him, you forget it as soon as you left the office or
Exactly.
you're at the door,
Well,
But
that's an evolutionary trait. That's seriously an evolutionary trait.
Yes.
I also want to point out that there is controversial stuff in Canadian politics too.
Yes.
And you don't listen to what they say. Look at how they vote.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like, look how they make.
Look at what they
decisions.
do. Yeah. Look at what they do.
Exactly.
Aaron O'Toole and who he hangs around with scares the fuck out of me.
Yes. Yeah.
All
Oh
right?
God. Yeah.
That's much scarier than him possibly putting me to sleep.
Yeah.
Or
the
the reason why, and this is the one thing that people keep on bringing up.
Yeah.
The reason why Justin Trudeau got such a pass on the blackface stuff is because of how he acts. Besides that, right, how he is definitely reaching out to people of color and to women, and that he is a feminist. He acts as a feminist most all the time. He's not perfect. Nobody is.
No.
Absolutely.
But those are those things. Now, if we could only get him to vote along those lines, that would be better.
Yes.
But yeah,
he has to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Talk the talk.
Yeah.
Sorry. Defensive technique. The evolutionary trait.
Yes.
We remember the bad stuff.
Yes. Unfortunately.
And there's a reason why. Is because your brain goes, something bad has happened. This is what you need to do to avoid it. Remember every step up to it. I was in a car accident in my 20s, and I spun out on a snow-filled road. I was heading towards a bridge, and as I'm spinning around, I thought I was going to miss the guardrail for the bridge and go into the water. Everything slowed down.
Yeah.
Every moment just slowed down.
Yeah. I have not been in exactly the situation you are, but I've been in situations where it's like, holy shit, this is gonna hurt, or holy shit, what have I fucking done now? I really screwed up. Yeah.
And that's just it. The entire time, it's like everything is in slow motion. You can't move fast. It's not like you're watching like Evan Peters' The Flash in like the X-Men movies. Right, and those slow-mo scenes where everything's moving slow around, except you can't react like he can.
Yeah,
it's you're remembering everything, just in that same slow-mo kind of moment, and that's what it feels like, and that's the body's defensive mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Is this is bad? You need to remember so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
At the same time, if something's good, yay, it's good. Don't need to keep that. That's how your brain looks at it.
Exactly.
So we don't remember the good stuff. And I think that's what we need to do is start making a list of the good things that happen in your day. At the end of the day, make that list.
That's what gratitude is. That's what gratitude is. People all say, oh, you should have a gratitude journal and you should do this. You try, if you find yourself having a hard time falling asleep at night, count the things that you're grateful for. You'll actually doze off because it'll calm you down too. It'll center you into things aren't really that bad. Things are so I could dwell on the negative, but if I'm looking at the good things in my life, it just calms me down, brings your breathing rate down, brings your heart rate down. Unfortunately, human beings, we are idiots who learn more from our mistakes than we do from our successes. So that's just the nature of the beast.
So gratitude journal is something I might want to start up just because I've been finding all of this is stressful. What have you gotten out of today's episode, Mike?
I've gotten out of today's episode that we have to just reach out, touch people's get
Don't
in touch with
without
people and
permission. Consent is
without
first.
yes consent of course yes. Well, when you put it that way, yes, exactly. But you have to reach out and grasp the line that the lifeline that joins us all together is there. Grasp onto it and hold on tight, and just be in the moment from time to time, and reach out and just connect. Make the connection. It doesn't matter if it's for 5 minutes, if it's for 5 hours. Make a connection and be present.
Claudio.
Well, you know what, Mike just said the amazing thing, and the fact that you wake up every day, and yeah, you look, we're in a crappy situation. It's a year now that we're in a crappy situation, but I've learned that you gotta just take it day by day, do the best you can, reach out if you need, if you have trouble, or if you still want to stay connected with people, reach out and just have fun with them, talk, and if listen, that's the most important key as well. And then just if you have time, go for a walk, with people you like and love, and then just keep on doing what you're doing. And also taking time to yourself, as in, like, all right, so you know what, I may not work, but at least I have time to get ready for a podcast, or work on my jokes, or just listen to music. So just keep yourself moving along, keeping yourself entertaining. That's the way I see it.
Perfect.
Well put.
I'm just gonna sign out here. Keeping yourself entertained. I just want to point out the link tree that's running on the bottom. Make sure you're liking this video. That way other people can find it as well. And if you want to donate, there is a button there to donate. But there's also links to all the different YouTube channels with the different flavors of show that I do. So this show is just checking in with our friends. I do a They Talk Funny, the series show, coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be talking to Leonard Chan. Leonard Chan, very funny comic and writer. And I'm just going to remove that banner. The link tree is running at the bottom. You can always check out any of the other shows that I do. This is not for the current show. Yep, dooba-dooba-doo. There's the Love Doctors every Wednesday at 9 p.m. and Battlecom is coming up on the 29th of this month.
My birthday
of this month. Your birthday, Claudio.
Yeah, you had 22nd on the banner.
That was last month. That was February.
That was last month. Okay.
I just confirmed the lineup for this month's Battlecom. So we got everybody in. We've got Scott Andrew Carter, who's now living, I think, in Hamilton or Toronto region. He's going to be on the show. Vivith Kanakaratnam is also on the show. And he's never as impressed as I hope that I can pronounce his name right. I'm so sad. We have Mark Wynn from the 404s, which is a improv and sketch comedy troupe based out of Edmonton, is going to be on the show. And of course, Gavin Stevens from Comedy Inc. from the Uncolonized podcast. They're going to be on the show. Of course, Erica Tadeo is going to be the stage manager, helping me move everything along. My co-host for that. It's fantastic. Claudio, I'm gonna throw something at you to see if you are willing to participate in that show for your birthday.
Oh, sure.
Just so we can all wish you a happy birthday. Properly as part of that show, because it's happening on your birthday. Did you just kiss me? What the fuck was that?
No. I'm just going. No. I'm just going.
Just yeah. All right. You just puckered up and kissed me. All right. This is
yeah. One of the saddest aspects of last year's the launching of the lockdown and all that was that we missed the roast of Claudio for his birthday. I was so looking forward to that.
I was upset.
I had some great material written up, and it's still hanging. I'm still hanging on to it because eventually we'll get to it, but. I was so disappointed. It's like,
Oh,
like,
man, that
what
was
the hell? I was
actually-
so primed for this.
We still have, we're 8 days away from, I think, the anniversary of my last live show.
Yeah.
Before we had that little opening was at the end of August, beginning of September.
Yeah.
But,
yes. Because I was trying to remember. Yeah.
So,
it's gonna be good.
That was it. And last week we talked about the film that I.
Yes.
Yes, we
okay.
did. Yes, we
Okay,
did.
good. All right. Don't need to bring that up again. Remember, wash your hands.
Yes.
Wash your hands.
Wear your mask.
Keep in
Wear
your
your mask.
bubbles. Wear your mask.
Yes.
And it's only an American thing where they're talking about people who've all been immunized can hang out together. All have received their vaccine. That's only an American thing. That's a CDC thing. We do not have that here in Canada.
And I don't buy into it because,
and that's just it. The Canadian Health Authority is not buying into it either, because you can still spread the disease even after you've been vaccinated. Go ahead, Claudio.
I was gonna say, and if you do not feel like wearing a mask, do not go out. Just stay home.
Yeah.
That's
it's as simple as that.
Exactly. It's simple as that. Like for me, like
so
whenever
you get an Italian guy telling you don't go out.
Exactly. No, like there've been times where I didn't feel like wearing my mask. I'm like, all right, so I'll stay
we don't
home.
want you here.
I'll just go. You know, so that's it. But like, just don't. If you don't want to wear a mask,
I'm gonna give you such a hug when I see you.
Same. So if you don't want, if you want to go out but you don't want to wear a mask, please just stay home. For the love of God, just stay home.
So there we go.
Yep.
Okay.
For the love of God, stay home.
Yeah.
Treat people with kindness. Everybody's going through a rough time.
Exactly.
Don't make it all about you. All right.
Exactly. So see you soon.
So long, everybody.
So long, everybody. Love you
Take
all.
care.
Check you out tonight, 8 p.m.